If I had to describe it, it simultaneously looks like a combination between a person, an insect, and a slug. I think the best way to describe this would be just monster. I think that's a pretty apt description. This protagonist is pretty brave, like seeing this, and instead of calling the police, just going and like touching it. What if it's poisonous? What if it's like radioactive or something? I don't know. This protagonist is either pretty brave or pretty stupid. Okay, I know what the right choice is to continue the game, but I'm too curious now. Let's go with what I would actually do. Well, looks like I'd never be the protagonist of a horror game. That's good to know. Okay, since the protagonist described it as pretty weak and struggling to even move, let's do the like I guess good people thing and take care of it. Well, already brought it home, so might as well try it, right? First, if it's going to stay in my house, I don't want it dirtying it up. So, okay, so from the protagonist's description, right? It seems like my assessment was correct. It's part human, part insect, and part, well, not snail, but seemingly octopus. So, still a mollusk, essentially. Seems to be quite docile, so yeah, at least that's nice. The protagonist implied it needed something to eat, and yeah, it looks pretty malnourished, so let's do this now. God, this is just one giant chimera of like various animals. I wonder what exactly it is. Is some kind of alien, a failed experiment? What the fuck is this thing? Well, I wouldn't do this, but then again, I wouldn't do any of this as we've established, so let's roleplay as the protagonist of this. What's kind of worrying is that it seems that this thing, whatever it is not only growing but rapidly growing thanks to our care. It doesn't seem to be aggressive, but that's concerning to say the least. Well, I'll give it this. At least it seems to be a very polite creature. I'm a bit wary of those tentacles, so let's follow the protagonist's advice and try to communicate with it. It doesn't seem to know words yet, but given that it at least looks partially human, maybe it can learn them? And that's where we start to disagree. This is, I agree with this, but I think it's more concerning than cute. Honestly, that just worries me more. Like, this may only be one of those adaptations to exactly manipulate you into caring for it. You know? Okay, one, I may need to censor this for the YouTube video, but two, yeah, the fact that it's growing to look more and more human alongside its other influences is way more concerning than cute to me, especially because of how obviously monstrous it still is. I think there's a clear hint that she at least understands, like language or sound, even if she herself can't properly speak. Jesus, both her eyes are getting more and more disturbing by the day. One thing that worries me is that, as shown by, I don't think it I put it in the video since I didn't comment anything during then. But essentially, she, at least for now, shows no reaction to the taste of food or acts of kindness. So it seems that while her body and intelligence are developing more to a human level, as well as her habits, you can see in the way she is holding her fork, for example, it doesn't seem like she's emotionally developing, becoming emotionally more human, which worries me for reasons that should be obvious at this point. But much like the protagonist says, we'll have to see with cautious anticipation. Breaking immersion for a bit though, I really like how this game is structured, like in the progression and in you essentially bringing home and observing the growth of a different creature. It's supposed to be, I think, more of an affectionate thing. Like, if you couldn't tell somehow, this is made by the same person that made that other game I played, Love at First Sight, and of course, their most famous project, Teaching Feeling. And it's supposed to be more in the vibe of Teaching Feeling, as people who have played that game will be able to tell. But unlike that game, which is more outwardly wholesome and again reinforcing more that affection aspect, this seems to be more scientific and analytical, which is an interesting and unique approach to a visual novel, which is what first got me interested in it, which is why I'm playing it and showcasing it in the channel at all. I think you're getting a little bit too attached to her a bit too quick. I get that this is a natural reaction to taking care of anything, be it a child or a pet or even a robot, as I've seen happen sometimes, but still, I really think you should exercise a bit more caution. Well, finally, seems like I'll be able to stop censoring the video so thoroughly. Saves me editing time. Thanks, protagonist. Would have appreciated if you had done so earlier, but still better late than never, right? Though, as the protagonist said, like with her looking like this, even despite the more different parts and her more unusual behaviors, it's getting more and more difficult to acknowledge her as anything but human, even if a bit of a more monstrous human. I think you get what I mean. Like when you see a cat girl in anime, you know it's not technically a human, but you just still treat it like a human because it's pretty much just a human shaped differently, like a very unusual person. She has a subtle but noticeable smile as she eats. That, combined with the protagonist's new hypothesis, it makes me think that maybe my initial idea that she only waited for the protagonist to eat because she was being polite was more correct. And maybe this isn't an indication of something more monstrous. Maybe the reason she didn't react to food wasn't because there was anything inhumane about her, but more just because, yeah, maybe this creature has no sense of taste. So, in a way, maybe instead of too softly like the protagonist, I went the other way and judged her a bit too harshly for no reason. One thing I failed to consider though is that since she is an entirely new being and since she is intelligent, her lack of emotions may not signify that she is insect-like, that she like maybe sees us as prey or something. Maybe it's simply like a different being and that's how she works. Like maybe this isn't either a positive or a negative thing, it's just a different aspect, a different way of existing, you know? One thing the protagonist hasn't considered is maybe, much like she has no sense of taste, maybe she doesn't have any vocal cords. Maybe she can't communicate like us humans can. Though she is pretty good at handling like tools, so maybe teaching her how to write instead of trying to communicate with her through more vocal means would be best. That seems very worrying. I don't know. I think if she uses it unsupervised, this could end up teaching some very undesirable lessons for her. Yeah, there were lights before and mostly contained to his journal, but there are clearly indications of her, even if not appearance wise. Like her mind is becoming more human, just like the protagonist hoped. It was more subtle before, but now it seems like it finally manifested in a more major way. I noticed that while this is obviously progressing normally, this other eye is starting to become less monstrous too, as well as her mouth. So we'll see how this goes, but it really seems like she's starting to become more human in various ways. I guess the best way to test it for now would be, yeah, okay, it's pretty much confirmed that, yeah, she is. Yeah, and look at that blush, that expression. Yeah, even her more inhuman eye is having a more affectionate, well, as affectionate as it can express, well, expression. So yeah, it's not up for debate anymore. She is definitely, even on the inside, becoming more human. The fuck do you mean? This is a major change, dude. It's a major change from compared to before. It's major. Like, this isn't the subtle shit that the subtle demonstrations of humanity has before. This is a clear and very human reaction. She learned to cook by herself behind our back. She is definitely hiding something. Honestly, the protagonist is making a bit too light of this. For a creature that literally has no sense of taste, to cook something like decent from simple imitation is frankly incredible. The theory put forward by the protagonist that she may not be human but be more trying to imitate humans is interesting, again from that neutral perspective. Maybe she isn't trying to deliberately manipulate or be affectionate towards us. Maybe she is just doing that normal thing of monkey see, monkey do. Like, she's seen humans do these types of things in the TV shows she's watched, and she clearly prefers more light-hearted scenes to more violent ones. So maybe she's just trying to imitate human behavior she finds pleasant instead of really becoming more human. Yeah, that makes sense. Since she can't really tell with her own body, she's probably using his sense of taste to really get a grip on how to cook. Which is, again, pretty intelligent on her part. It's one of the most impressive things she's done, in my opinion, at least. Oh, more choices. For now, I'm going to follow my own instincts and be wary. Okay, given what we're seeing here, it's pretty obvious that my choices, like my actual choices, the ones I would have made, have clearly led to a bad ending in this case. Though, what I wanted to comment is that this bad ending is specifically very interesting because it tells me a lot about her without me having to actually progress more through her development. As it seems that both of my perspectives were correct. She was manipulating us. She clearly is way more intelligent than she was letting on, as the text here suggests. But she clearly was being more affectionate too. Like she really wanted to express and maybe even felt real affection and wanted to feel it back. So I don't think she was being manipulative in the sense that she was trying to get our guard down in order to eat us like an insect. But either way, it really seems like she was being affectionate for whatever reason, with whatever purpose, and wanted us to respond. And when we didn't, she got frustrated and left. So, yeah, a bad ending, obviously, and we're going to have to reload, but one that, even so, it's very interesting in its own right. As again, it seems that both of our assumptions were correct. Now let's see what happens when we just see how things go. We just let it happen. No, I don't think she was playing. I think she knows very well how to use this thing at this point, and she was using it very deliberately. And the reasons why, I think, will become clear as the dialogue progresses. Or at least I have that impression. Let's see. Though I think I have a good idea of where this scene is leading to. Something tells me that it's more the former rather than the latter. Especially, again, given both the bad ending and some other stuff that has been subtly hinted by the story up until now. I know we already pretty much knew, again, both from the bad ending and from hints of the story, that she knew more than she was letting on, but previously she was learning through monkey see, monkey do methods. So, how did she learn this? Through the internet, maybe? Because the protagonist, like he says, can't sue. So, this is both very surprising, admirable, and obviously worrying. Yeah, that is very much clear. Yeah, I think this. No, we already know this, but if we hadn't played the bad ending, this would be like damning evidence for this route that, because again there were hints before, but this is damning evidence that she definitely knows way more than she's letting on. Like she probably knows how to communicate at this point. She probably knows how to write or even speak at this point, but she's hiding it for some reason. That's what I was going to comment about. So I'm glad that, again, me and the protagonist's like logic or train of thought aligns in this aspect. But it seems that not only did she modify her clothes, as you probably saw, to be able to better accommodate her body, but also to hide and deliberately hide her inhuman parts. It seems not only she was doing this for comfort, but in order to deliberately be able to walk around inconspicuously as a human, which again just adds to my worry. Like she knows she isn't human, she knows which parts of herself aren't human, and is deliberately trying to hide that for some reason. Now, the reason, to again give more of a neutral interpretation instead of just being paranoid all the time, could be a good one. Maybe she just doesn't want to cause a scene, but it could be an innocent reason, but it still makes me a bit wary, like even more so than I even was before. If you haven't seen my playthrough of like Love at First Sight, this is pretty much the same background that's used on that game. So I wonder if the artist just wanted to save effort by reutilizing the same background, or if there's a subtle nod that this is all happening in a shared universe. If you don't know, there's a theory and some pretty good indicators that all games by freakishly charming occur in the same universe, like that old Disney theory. So I don't know. Much like Ageha herself, it could go either way. Like this could be deliberate, or it could just be a lazy way to reutilize assets. Okay, I guess I should have commented on it sooner, but in any case, I'll maybe just complement my explanation with a screenshot here. But essentially, during their little date, Ageha kissed the protagonist. That, combined with how long she's been doing these affectionate things like being close to him, or like sharing skinship, making good food for him, like they definitely like weaken that paranoid idea that I had that all this affection was just as a way to manipulate us. She is manipulative in the sense that she is clearly hiding her intelligence, but I don't think her affection is manipulative, even if it's just basic imitation, which is also something that's slowly being deconstructed since she's clearly capable of more than imitating. Like everything is coinciding into this conclusion, right? That like the love assumption, the assumption that she truly has become more human, and that this affection for the protagonist that's clearly reciprocal, as we've seen the protagonist is also very affectionate about her as well, like is real. Like the game is very subtly and very like progressively like trying to eliminate these doubts and point us to that conclusion that she definitely has become more human, and the best explanation is that not only is are her emotions genuine instead of pure imitation, but that her affection is genuine instead of part of the manipulation. Heck, even like trying to disguise her more inhuman parts may not just be for the outside world to better accept her, but it may even be for her to become prettier or seen as more desirable to the protagonist. Though it still makes me wonder why exactly she is hiding her intelligence then. That's the one aspect that still worries me about this and makes me unable to fully enjoy these clearly honest romantic feelings. Yeah, I didn't say anything during the actual scene, but given what the protagonist described here, I think you can imagine, right, what exactly happened. But this pretty much confirms that she wasn't being manipulative. That was already pretty clear, but this is a very clear and objective confirmation, right? Like it isn't implied or something that just a logical conclusion anymore. We now know from this incident that she pretty much could kill us whenever she wanted. So she clearly wasn't manipulating us to try to get our guard down, as she really doesn't need to do that. If she wanted us dead, we'd be dead already. Combine that with her clearly growing, even if hidden, intelligence and ability to do more than just imitate, and it's clear that her affection is genuine. So She isn't manipulative in the sense of her only being like affectionate in order to try to get something. She doesn't want to kill us, clearly, because if she did, again, we'd be dead already. And it's very clear that these feelings, this affection, is far more than just simple imitation. So, what I'm trying to say in a lot of unnecessary words here is that as worrying as this incident is, it pretty much also is good in the sense that it confirms that she truly loves the protagonist. Though it really makes you wonder, like, because yeah, she clearly loves the protagonist. That much is pretty much confirmed true. But then, what reason does she have to hide her intelligence then? Like, for what purpose? That combined with the now very clear implication that if we don't reciprocate her feelings, as the protagonist has for some reason been doing, that she will get what she wants through less consensual means, worries me, you know? Like, people could argue, oh, but if you simply respond to her feelings, if you simply reciprocate, nothing should happen, right? But what if things get dicey? What if we find out a real reason not to like her? Like, what will she do? And again, why exactly is she hiding her intelligence? What reason could she have for doing that if she isn't being manipulative and it is really affectionate? And you might think, oh, she's clearly a yandere, which, yeah, clearly, given what she did. But again, as much as I rack my brain, I just can't find a good explanation. This should be what the protagonist wants, like given everything we know about him, and this is what I want as well. I'm way past the point of doubting her. I really don't see any reason, both like emotionally and logically, given that I want to live. I don't want her to inject that poison into me again, and this seems like the best option in order to achieve that, uh, to really choose this one. I don't like how you worded that, but yeah, I agree. Yeah, much as I didn't like his wording, he was pretty much correct when he said that resistance is futile. Whatever she wants us to do, she'll just use very extreme methods to convince us to do. I'd say it's worrying, but we don't have any reason to worry. We already know this is true, and it's best not to resist it. Just like the protagonist said. Like, why worry about danger when the danger is certain, you know? I'd like to say I'm surprised, but given everything we've known for a while now, yeah, the fact that not only does she know how to write and communicate, but knows where our notebook has been and has logged in it in a way that wasn't obvious. Like, I know this is meant to be shocking, but with everything that the story has told us at this point, it really isn't. I was kind of waiting for this actually. And realistically speaking, even if like I didn't like it, like I didn't want to accept her love, like I was really shocked and terrified by this. So what? She has already proven that if I resist in any way, like she would just be able to overpower me and do as she pleases anyway. Like, again, why be worried? Why be wary of something you can't avoid? Why be wary of a danger that is just like objective? It's there. There's nothing I can do about it. So, I don't know, both rationally and emotionally, once again, I see no reason for the bad option. I would just pick this one as I did before, and then again, as always, we'll be doing the bad endings afterwards. Happy end. You just gave in and accepted that even if you didn't want this relationship, there's nothing you can do about it anyway, so why bother fighting, right? Very happy ending. Totally not manipulative and like coerced at all. Now let's see if anything changes with those two last choices. Okay, so the protagonist was wary and didn't let her inject him with poison, right? And instead of like she clearly could just trying again and forcing the protagonist that way, she seems to have just left, like accepting his refusal, his lack of consent, which is interesting. Okay, so if you refuse to like take her hand, if you do that choice to avoid taking her hand, it pretty much just skips the love making scene. I'll call it like that, and just locks you into the bad ending. Now that I think about it, I think I finally found the answer. Honestly, she's just being weird. Like at first I accepted it just because like coercion or whatever, but like does there really need to be a reason? Like she clearly loves the protagonist, so no, why was she hiding all these things? Maybe she was just being shy. Like at this point, since we know her feelings are genuine, maybe there really wasn't any malice behind it. Maybe she really was just being shy or weird about her affection. Like, would it really be out of character given that we again both know that her affection is real as well as the fact that she is a different being? Like, now that I think about it, there really doesn't need to be like an explanation, a rational explanation, or even a like suspicious or bad explanation for, oh, why was she hiding it, why was she doing all those things under our nose. Maybe again she was just being shy or secretive about her feelings, or maybe again she was just being weird or curious. There's a ton of very good explanations for all these seemingly suspicious behaviors now that I think about it. It's very interesting that we've made a 180. I know I've been agreeing with this protagonist for the most part, but it's really interesting how at the end, like, I'm now the one seeing no reason to think bad about Ageha, and he's the one like freaking out with paranoia. Yeah, the protagonist is being a real drama queen about this, at least in my view. Like, Jesus, it really doesn't need to be that deep, bro. Calm down. Oh, you poor naive fool. Did you forget that, like, the only reason you could even resist her when you did was because she let you? Do you really think she's going to allow you to do that? Oh, you poor naive fool. Especially after you've shown that you were wary and clearly hesitating before. Of course, she could predict this. Yeah, I think you know as well as I do where this is going given her yandere behavior. Okay, so given that the protagonist is clearly drugged by Ageha and in a daze, I'm guessing the only difference from the happy end to this end is that in that ending we pretty much accept her feelings under implied coercion, and in this ending we accept her feelings in through very direct coercion. So yeah, either way, not that different. Which is to be expected again in a clearly yandere like story. Yeah, pretty much no matter what you choose, you get the quote unquote happy ending. And that will be it for today. If you like this video, please do all the normal YouTube stuff, like, comment, subscribe, etc. And I genuinely do hope to see you next time. If you really liked it, I'd also really appreciate if you could support me financially, either through a one-time paid comment donation or by joining my membership, where for $1 a month, you get to participate in exclusive polls in order to decide which videos I'll make next. Like, which of my plans should I focus on? Which of the content I have in mind do you want to see first? That kind of thing, as well as get your name put in this fancy little screen right here. Just as a small gesture of appreciation, exactly for your monthly support. But of course, no matter how much you choose to give me, as well as if you choose to give me anything at all, do know that I really appreciate any cent you're willing to throw my way, as well as just the fact that you're watching this video up to this point at all. But with all that stuff out of the way, I think it's finally time to, as always, bid you guys farewell. Obscure Anime out.